to nationals last year, my students had to record their performance. But the problem was because I couldn't be with them with a camera and they couldn't even be with each other in the same room, we had to record it over Zoom. And then what we found out was that both of them had really bad internet connections. And so we'd get like 2 minutes in and one of them would freeze. And so we'd have to start over again. And we'd get like another, 3 minutes in and the other one would freeze. Or like there was at least 5 times we were there. We were like 10 seconds away. And then one of them would freeze and we'd have to start over again. I got so desperate that I went to a Facebook group that had other speech and debate coaches and said, like, what are you guys doing? How are you overcoming this internet issue? And I had a coach respond to me, oh, you can just buy them some AirPods and a lapel mic, or go out and get them a hotel room. Like, I don't even get paid for my, to coach, let alone spend money on like a hotel room in Philly. Yeah, it's like, that's not going to happen. On the internet, if you have a bad internet connection, those judges can't, like, it's hard for them to hear the arguments the students are making. So there's a lot of times I'll get ballots back after a tournament and I'll read it and say, I couldn't understand what you were saying. Your internet connection wasn't very good. You kept on breaking up. And then my students lose because the judge couldn't hear what they were saying. And it's really frustrating because I know they're really good debaters and they have really smart, logical, well thought out things to say. What do I hope that this history books say about this time is that this was the time that America realized, started recognizing the deep inequities that exist and asking the right questions. Like, why is this the way it is?
So what I'm most proud of is that we were able to support a group of students who have been historically excluded from participating in science and being able to participate in research during the COVID-19 pandemic. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, we have been looking into offering remote research opportunities that make it more accessible to students who have financial or cultural obligations at home. And so we wanted to provide opportunities that were designed and tailored for these students in mind so that we could increase participation from people from historically excluded groups. My field, geology, has the lowest rate of racial and ethnic diversity in all the STEM fields. Less than 8% of PhDs are awarded to people who identify as Black, Indigenous, or Latinx. I work with an amazing group of researchers across the country who, like me, have also struggled to find their place in academia. And we work to identify and mitigate social and economic barriers in the geosciences so the next generation of scientists can do their work with their whole authentic selves. I grew up in a community much like the one I'm working in today, a community that struggles with poverty, inequity, and racism. And it can often feel bleak because people struggle to see past the deficits, and people tend to overlook the vibrancy and creativity that exists in these communities. And when you make it through, like I have, I've taken my family from illiteracy to the highest achievements in education in 4 generations. People often focus on the perseverance and sacrifice it took to get there, but they often fail to ask, what could you have accomplished if you didn't have to overcome barriers? My upbringing is not unique, and I don't want my success to be unique either. I want students to have access to opportunities that our parents and grandparents did not have access to. I'm proud to be part of a much needed change in science, that our science reflects our communities. And we'll continue this work until all students have been afforded the same opportunities. Our success is linked. Lifting each other up lifts our communities up.
Greetings and salutations from North Carolina, where I am a very proud public school elementary teacher. My name is Mrs. Turquoise Lejeune Parker, and I am so honored and truly hyped to be sharing with y'all today. Why? Because I get to talk about some of my favorite people and one of my favorite things. One of my favorite things is teaching, and some of my favorite people to teach is Mrs. Parker's professors. I believe wholeheartedly in putting some respect on folks' names. So we don't call them students, we call them professors, because we have to start celebrating, owning, and walking in our beauty, our intelligence as early as possible. And why I love being a teacher is because we get a chance to foster this learning community that we call A Different World, because I'm sort of obsessed with the hit 90s TV show A Different World. But when you really think about it, learning, teaching, growing really is a different world. And I really love teaching because this professors and I have fostered this learning community where we talk through very complex issues that prepare our mind, our body for how we are going to take leadership, how we are going to defend and transform this world into what we all absolutely deserve. Teaching in the time of COVID, learning in the time of COVID is something that we educators have always done and will always do. And that's making it happen for our schools, for our families, for our communities. But one thing that I hope that everyone hears me say today and hears educators say from the past and from this moment on is that educators, public school workers, always make it happen for our schools and our communities. Put some respect on that and funding on that.
Down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you cannot find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we're gonna walk it out. I see it in you, so we gonna walk it out. And I'll rise up, I like the ways I will rise up, spite of the ache, I rise up, and I do it 1,000 times again for you. The silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting so hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. For that we have each other, and for that we have each other, and we of the ache. I'll do it, do it, do it. Do it, do it, do it. And I'll rise up high like the waves. I will rise in spite of the hate. Do it, do it. I'll do it, do it, do it. I will rise up. I will rise up. Ooh, I'll do it. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for having me. Peace and blessings, y'all.
Our teachers, our teachers, our teachers. We have just seen how America's educators are indeed America's heroes. They are the custodians not only of our children, but of our future, as they empower and inspire generations of students to achieve their potential. During Past History Month for Women, Congress has gathered in the Capitol to honor trailblazing women, from Dolores Huerta to NASA's Hidden Figures to the women of the Supreme Court. And in 2016, we had the opportunity to celebrate with Dr. Biden and then First Lady Michelle Obama when we honored women veterans and the pioneering Air Force Brigadier General Wilma Vogt, godmother of the National Women in Military Service Memorial. This year, while we gather virtually, we proudly join Dr. Biden once again to build on this legacy of excellence as we honor the resilient spirit of America's educators, who inspire us with their creativity, compassion, and commitment to building a brighter future for children. When we asked to pay tribute to Dr. Biden, she said only if we were honoring all of our educators. Hearing that, Dr. Biden, I recalled seeing you speak at NOVA in 2010 with the signing of the Healthcare and Education Reconciliation Act. It was clear then from the rapport between you and the students the immense respect that you all had for each other. Dr. Biden, we are all in awe of your extraordinary advocacy for educators and grateful for the opportunity to join you in paying tribute to our heroes. Whether working in early childhood education, K through 12, higher education, or lifelong learning, our teachers have been dazzling, particularly throughout the pandemic. For over a year, they have been asked to do the impossible, using their ingenuity and imagination to develop innovative solutions to ensure that our children can continue to learn and grow. With the historic American Rescue Plan signed into law just last week by President Biden, Congress secured the resources to reopen schools safely, get vaccines in arms, and provide educators with the tools they need to empower students to thrive. We applaud the leadership of President Biden and Vice President Harris, the first woman vice president in American history, for putting us on the path to providing the first dose of the vaccine to millions of educators and childcare workers by the end of this month. This Congress has been blessed by the leadership and vision of more than 80 educators, including you, Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, the first former National Teacher of the Year to serve. These members bring their experience in the classroom to the critical work of the House to advance progress for the people, for the children. In closing, thank you all for joining us for this special celebration. Let us say thank you to today's artist, Andre Day, the Duke Ellington School of the Arts, and the Washington Performing Arts Children of the Gospel Choir for their beautiful music. Thank you also to the students of Benjamin Banneker Elementary School and educators Sarah Malanta Laffin, Turquoise Parker, Antoinette Albeta, and Jake, and Kate Sundin for sharing your thoughts and moving us with your passion and brilliance. A special thank you to a lifelong educator and champion for our students, our new Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona. And thank you especially to First Lady Jill Biden for making this a memorable Women's History Month celebration. Today and every day, we continue to fight for our educators' success. because when women succeed, America succeeds. Happy Women's History Month.